Okay, it's 6 p.m. Friday as usual. This is Hip Living. You know, there have been a lot of people right now who are vegetarian, who are vegan, and it's really going up by leaps and bounds all over this country. Well, on today's program with my guest, we're going to be talking about veganism. We're going to be talking about being a vegetarian, plant-based, and get through all the different definitions and all the jargon of what it really means. I know there's a lot of confusion out there. But my guest is also someone who is the owner of a company, and the name of the company is Becoming Lifestyle Management. And her name is Ms. Pauline Stevens. Welcome to Hip Living.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the program.
Yes.
Now, my first time coming across Pauline, getting back to my point about the vegan part, was on the Vegan Social Facebook page. Mm-hmm. This is how we came across each other.
Yeah.
And she also spoke at the Vegan Fest 2018. That's been going on for a while. But before we get into that, I want to generally talk about your company.
Okay.
Get an overview, because you wear a whole lot of hats.
Yes, I do.
She definitely wears a whole lot of hats, and very much. Yeah, she definitely wears a whole lot of hats, and so she's going to explain to you out there in the viewing audience about what her company does. It definitely covers the gamut of a whole lot of areas in the realm of health and wellness. So, Pauline, tell us a little bit something about your company.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so my name is Pauline Stevens. I am the owner and operator of Becoming You Lifestyle Management. And what that company is all about is creating different modalities where people can heal themselves, but also we touch on fitness, we touch on Ayurveda, and I'm an Ayurvedic lifestyle counselor as well, so we'll go in a little bit into that. I'm a fitness instructor, but also a personal trainer and a vegan culinary artist. And what that really means is that I do cook, but I love to have the food look good as well as taste good. But we go through that using all whole foods, plant-based, different foods, so organic as well. And we try to source a lot of our ingredients here locally. So Becoming You Lifestyle Management, I opened that company up a few years back. So I want to say about, my daughter is 7, so I want to say about 5 years ago. And it's not until probably 3 years ago is when I really been pushing forward to create a message that you can be healthy by eating well, but also, exercising. And so I love different type of fitness
Right, yeah,
I
noticed that. Yeah, we were
right?
talking about that earlier about, like you said, you cover the gamut of a whole lot. You do the
Yes.
yoga,
Yeah.
the HIIT training, and there was, what else?
Meditation, yeah. So I was
you
talking
covered
to
the gamut
Stuart,
of
and he
a whole lot
knows
of that, right?
a lot of what I do. And
Right.
I first started off doing this for me. So I first started off about 7 years ago. I had my first child, and prior to that, I was working out, but I lost my way a little bit because I created another business, and I was serving everyone else and not really serving myself.
Okay.
So I had a little time for myself, or
Okay.
I made little time for myself,
Okay.
and so I gained a lot of weight,
Okay.
and there came a time when I was like, enough is enough, and
Right.
I really wanted to
Okay.
get my health back, and so I was just working out,
Right.
and I'm talking about working out three hours a day
Wow.
because I was taking different classes. At first, it was like, okay,
Okay.
I'm going to do the treadmill thing, and I was like, this is not my personality. I
Mhm.
like to really do things with a purpose,
Okay.
and so I started taking indoor cycling classes.
Okay.
I took yoga, which was something I
Wow.
fell into
Okay.
that I absolutely
Okay.
loved,
Okay.
and I took a bar class. So that was about an hour's worth of class each. So that was 3 hours.
Let's
a
go
day.
back to that last one. What is
A
that?
bar, yeah. So
same.
bar is a fusion between Pilates, dance, and yoga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I love teaching that class. I'm actually
Okay.
certified to teach it.
Okay.
And that is a great workout because even after 45 minutes of doing
Okay.
something,
Mhm.
you're still burning. So we have both men and women that
Okay.
take the class.
Okay.
And so what it is doing certain moves,
Okay.
and it's more in repetition, and a
Okay.
lot of it is isometric movements.
Wow.
So just imagine like you burning, for the
Burning.
hour's worth. So
Right,
you're
right.
burning. You physically feel the burn, but
Okay.
then you're also burning the fat and shedding.
Wow.
And so my first time
Okay.
doing it, I would say I saw results within like 2 to 3 weeks. and I
amazing.
was sold on it. So,
Okay.
and then I became certified to teach that class, and that's what I
Okay.
offer. So that's one of my favorite classes to teach as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty much so your niche. What is your niche? Your actual
Mhm.
niche, though, out of all of
Yeah,
that you kind of
I'm
feel?
glad you asked that question. I have a lot of people that want to lose weight. So, and I hate to say that because everybody essentially works out because they want to lose weight or they want to tone up.
Right.
But my niche is people that want to lose weight, but also they realize that there is a spiritual, more mindful element to it
Right,
because
right,
that's my
that's true.
personality and that's
There
what I
you
bring off. So
Right, right.
most people say, I want to lose weight, but I also want to rid myself of stress,
There you go.
of,
Mhm.
of depression or whatever it is,
Right.
and they want to get a hold of their foods. Some people don't have control of food, and that's the part I think that's a struggle. People can go and work out, and they say, I work out 3 hours a day or 3 times a week, but I don't see results. And I think what happens is the sabotage comes in when people don't know how to manage their food intake.
Right, right.
And so I help them with that. So
Okay.
with my personal training program, I also offer the nutritional element in that as
Okay,
well. So
okay.
I would say last year I brought in Ayurveda, which is AYUR Veda,
Okay.
and that's the sister science of yoga.
Okay.
And but it's the knowledge of life. That's what it means.
Okay.
And so that's doing things that serve you as a person.
Okay.
We're all made differently.
Right.
And so we go into doshas, which is the mind body type. So for example,
Okay.
I'm a person who likes the endurance part of things when
Okay.
I'm working out,
Right.
and then you may have somebody that really doesn't. And so we figure out a way to create a workout for them that serves them.
Right.
Because I can't just put everybody
No,
on a
you
HIIT
can't, and that's
program.
true. That's true. Like you
Yeah.
said, that's kind of why I like the HIIT also in a way. You can play around with that a little bit because I know when I'm training people, especially I really like the group stuff.
Yes,
One-on-one is
yeah,
cool
yeah.
too, but I like the group stuff because what I do when I'm doing the HIIT, I say, okay, I'm gonna set it up where everybody can go at their own pace. It's high intensity.
Yes, right.
But in this interval training, it's very effective. But I'm saying to everybody, okay, I'm setting a time. It'll be 60 seconds that you do exercise. You got 30-second break, and
Right.
60 seconds. But everybody does that exercise at their own pace,
right?
like you said. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
what
you
we
run into. And the other part I like what you mentioned was the holistic part,
Mm-hmm.
because you got a lot of different programs out there.
Right. Yeah.
But the holistic part really is important because you're dealing with stress, you're dealing with other issues, people learning how to relax.
That's
Even
right.
when you talk about the part about losing the weight, bringing the weight down, because it's not always about weight
It's not
either.
always,
I always tell people, if you think about it, it's an inside-out thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Weight or not, you can be the skinniest, whatever person in the
Right.
world, but if you're dealing with stress, know how to manage your stress, which is great. What you're saying,
That's
you're
right,
going
yeah.
to people, you're saying, okay, let me give you some ideas on how to manage your stress,
That's
because
right.
that could be what's triggering you
To gain weight.
to gain weight or engage in whatever habits.
Right.
And like I said, not even
Unhealthy
just for
habits,
weight or
yeah.
just unhealthy habits when your blood pressure go up or your kidneys or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome what
You
you're
got it.
saying.
Yeah. Awesome.
Which-
And we're doing the work, and you're doing the work too as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, definitely, yes.
And that's a great thing that people can see individuals like you and I
Right.
that they can relate to.
Definitely.
Because I would say in this whole arena of fitness and yoga and mindfulness,
Right.
we don't see people like you and I from
Right.
the African American
That's what you're saying.
background
That's
and
true.
heritage. And I
That's
mean,
true.
my heritage goes far beyond African American because I was born in Jamaica, West Indies,
Wow,
and
okay.
this is kind of like natural for me in a sense because
right.
we come from an era where you eat natural foods, and
That's true.
that's vitality for us,
Right, right.
and we work out and we're outdoors and do things like that. And then I ended up growing up in an inner city where not a lot of the things that we needed
right.
is accessible.
That's right.
We go to the corner store and we can't find fresh fruits and
Right.
vegetables. We have to go miles and miles to find those things.
Mhm.
And so, growing up in the U.S.
Right.
for some of my life,
Mhm.
that was a challenge. But I grew up with foundation already. You know, my mom and taught me, you know, this is how we eat, and I discussed a little earlier, you know, what we've done a few months out of the year.
Yes, because something I want to go back to real quick, because this is bringing us to the segue into where I want to go with the vegetarianism and everything. First, I want us to do, to help the people out there in the viewing audience, as best as you can, define, because people hear vegan, they hear vegetarian, they hear pescatarian, they hear a whole lot of things, and there's a bit of confusion, which I understand. Even myself, as health conscious as I've been for a long time, all I ever knew was vegetarian. But now what's happening, as I said during the intro, there's been this increase, numbers of people who aren't necessarily vegetarian, but still, you know, they're getting into the eating. If nothing else, they're getting into the eating and they're doing better. So help us out, people out there in the viewing audience, the basic, simple understanding of what it is. What does all that mean?
So life is simple, right? I think we complicate things when we want to always label something and call it vegetarian, veganism, and all of this. And I think someone over time, people want to put labels on or define something that you're doing so that we can always put people in a box. And I think take yourself out of the box. And I say from the very beginning, know your why. Like, why are you doing something? Are you doing it because it's a trend, or are you doing it because you really want this for yourself? I would say when I became a vegan, and I'll go into the definition of it, I became a vegan not even knowing I became a vegan. So people would say, well, do you eat eggs? I'm like, no, I don't eat eggs. Do you eat butter? No, I don't eat butter. And this was someone that wanted me to I guess, participate in a potluck or something or another. And I said, well, I don't eat that, so no, I won't have that. And then they were like, well, are you a vegan? So you're a vegan then? And I was just like, I guess so. You know, that was my response, I guess so. And again, because of my upbringing, there wasn't a label. You know, we would call it ITAL eating, which was, you know, eat whole foods, and we call it now plant-based. So I'll go into defining veganism. So vegan, well, there's different levels again, because they create and they put us in boxes, right?
They do, right.
So, and you find your way and find your why. So vegans do not eat anything of animals, right? So if you go down the whole list of what an animal produces, so I would say eggs, vegans don't eat eggs. From that, you have butter, vegans don't eat butter. You have cheese, vegans do not eat cheese. Fish, so of course that's an animal. And people make a joke about it. If it has a mother, then don't eat it, because it's, you know, it's not vegan at that point. And so I would say, just to simplify it, maybe think about that. But even going deeper into that, you know, you talk about the fish oils, like I don't participate in that. And so find your why. And I would say, my friends kind of joke, they're like, yeah, she's an extreme vegan, because I take it even to a spiritual level where, you know, if I am eating something of the animal, or if I'm even putting something of the animal on my skin, I feel then I am taking on the emotional baggage that this animal had to endure during the slaughter. So I don't do that, right? So you will, and you'll find that over time. Like, I didn't start there where it was just like, I feel the pain of the animal in the beginning, but I do now. I really like, I consciously, it hurts me to even say, oh, I'm gonna buy a bracelet. And I was challenged probably last year. It was a beautiful bracelet. It seemed, you know, very ethical. And I asked the woman, I said, wow, you know, is this a vegan bracelet? Meaning, is it real leather, right? And she says, yes, it is. And I was like, oh my gosh, I fell in love with it. I was looking at it. But I can't do that, because then I'm participating in this whole system of, you know, the unethical treatment of the animal. So I walked away from it. So then that's veganism, right? And again, there's different levels, and you'll find your way, right? You'll find your way. So in the beginning, simplify it. Don't eat flesh, right? And don't eat the cheese, and don't eat the eggs, and don't drink the milk. So you do that. And then, of course, when you develop that into a lifestyle, because veganism is a lifestyle. It's not, when people say, oh yeah, I eat vegan 50% of the time, and then I'm a vegan 50% of the time, and then I'm
But see, that's the thing that I
And I
learned
eat
too.
meat,
'Cause
another fish,
that's
yeah.
why I wouldn't go so far as to refer myself as a vegan, like you just
Mhm.
said, because you got to understand what it is you're getting into.
Right,
They just
right.
put that out there. Then you got vegetarian, you got pescatarian. I can more or less fall into that.
Right.
I don't eat much fish, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you got to be real with yourself.
You have to,
And like
and
you're
you learn
saying,
it.
you have to find your way.
Mhm.
My thing with people is ultimately is to get them somewhere to be healthier.
Of course.
That's the bottom
Yeah,
line.
yeah. And I found that being compassionate for me,
Mhm.
I never preach being vegan. You have to, although I would love the whole entire world too. But when people come to me and they work out with me and I put them on a nutritional plan,
Mhm.
I say, I don't want to take away everything from you,
Right.
but here is what's going to make you be at your highest and your best self. And when they try doing a plant-based or vegan diet, even for 3 days, they see an automatic change. Some people stick with it. Some people say, well,
Right.
I'm going to do this for 4 days out of the week, and the other days out of the week I'll
Yeah,
go and
right,
eat what I want
right.
to eat.
And you-
So going back into vegetarian, the difference between the vegan and
Right,
vegetarian.
right,
Vegetarians, on the other hand, there's some vegetarians that would eat fish, and then there's some vegetarians that won't eat fish or any type of flesh, but they will
Right.
have the cheese, they'll have the milk, and they'll have
Right. I
the
knew
butter.
You said that kind of throw you when you said
Yes,
that. You're right.
yes. So, and then the pescatarian is someone that would only eat fish, so they wouldn't
Right.
eat red, or I would say something that looks red, or like, so for example, chicken or beef, right?
Right, don't eat that.
But they will have salmon,
Right,
the
that's
tilapia,
right.
the shrimp, those type of
And
things.
then you got to be careful with that. And that's why I kind of struggle with a little bit,
Yeah,
because to be
yeah.
real with you, when you talk about fish, you almost have to be very selective about what you eat, because
Yes,
there's a
of
lot
course.
of toxins and stuff.
Oh,
and
my,
you
yeah.
know, the ocean, is it from
Yeah.
Alaska, is it? So I mean, just being real with yourself about a
Yeah.
lot of this. And what I really wanted to get deep into, because we talked about this a little bit, is about the African American community.
Yeah.
Because the point that you just made, being from the West Indies, because technically you are American. And the
Yeah,
reason
yeah.
why I put it there, all of that is Americans.
Yeah,
I always tell people America is a continent, South America,
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Technically, we all like Black America, to tell the truth. You know where I'm coming
We're
from. with
African
that.
Americans,
The
yeah.
African American.
Yeah, yeah.
But the reason I wanted to go there, because the discussions and conversations that I've had with people, I've had a conversation with somebody else from the Caribbean. And what was mind blowing, like I said, okay, I'm looking at this person, they're from the Caribbean. They look just like somebody that I grew up around, but they're from the Caribbean. With black people in the United States of America, when we get to talking about eating, the first thing we go into is soul food. And I'm not knocking or anything
Yeah,
or throwing
yeah.
shade on that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's good
Yeah.
and everything flavorful or whatever, but there's another component of reality there where it came from.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it came from the
yeah.
plantation and everything like that.
Mhm.
But when we start talking about black people eating again,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to somebody from the West Indies. You're talking about eating vegetables and everything. You see where I'm coming
Yes,
from? And
yeah.
this is where I think we've gotten better, where we've gotten
yeah.
enlightened,
Oh yeah.
and we haven't put ourselves in a box.
Right.
And
yeah.
so when we meet black people from South America, the Caribbean, and all of those
Yes.
other places, we're learning more about ourselves and
Yeah.
our origins, and realizing, wait a minute,
Of course. Yeah.
technically, I'm not really designed to eat
To be
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's not
The
really
ham
my
hocks.
nature.
And when I'm not originally from Richmond, of course, right?
Right.
So when I came and people were talking about chitlins and all these other things, I was
Right.
kind of shocked, like, what's that?
Right.
But I think what's happening now, like you just mentioned, even with soul food, you have vegan soul food, and soul food is just. When I think of soul
Technically,
food, I
to be
just think
real.
of flavor. I don't really think of
Thanks for making that point.
the
Thanks for making that point.
what do you call that? The leftovers of the animals after they slaughter them, like the chitlins and all the guts and all that stuff. I wouldn't touch it.
Excellent point.
But it's all about the
Excellent
flavor.
point.
So if you can take
Excellent point.
a vegetable and use
Mhm.
the same type of seasonings that you would use
Right.
for the food that you love so much,
Right.
I think you would enjoy it. So
Yes.
it just goes back into that. But I think the awareness comes in individuals just educating them.
Right.
Just saying, okay, well, I'm going to create a workshop for you that you can come and attend, and if you have questions, I'll be able to give it to you. So, just like the Veg Fest, that was awesome that I was
It
able
was
to,
great.
speak at that. And
Right.
I have my own
Okay.
programs coming up. I have my own workshop, so you can take a look at that on my website.
Yeah,
It's
thank you for giving
PaulineStevens.com, and Stevens is spelled Stephen.
Yes.
And you'll be able to find out the different workshops and classes that I'm having going forward. And even if you want to put together one and invite your folks, and we can have a collaborative, intimate type of thing, we could do that as well.
Okay.
But that's just open up dialogue and conversations that we all should have,
Sure.
so that we can set ourselves up on the right path, rather than saying, I'm confused because I don't know what veganism is, and oh my gosh, today I messed up because I had something that wasn't vegan, and oh my gosh, I'm no longer vegan, so let me just go ahead and eat the chitlins.
No.
I mean, that doesn't, I've seen people do that, and it's just like, okay, well, let me help you set you up on the right path.
Right.
And then, but have that dialogue to understand, why are you doing this? And so when you identify that why, which is I want to be healthy, then you'll be able to stick to it. Or I want to save the animals, then you will stick to it.
Right.
Or a combination of both. You
Yeah,
know?
that's right. Because what you just said, people have their reasons and different reasons. Like you said, some people will get very much into, like you said, the animals.
Yes,
Some
yeah.
people are going to basically say for nutritional reasons. What I tell people a lot of times, because I'm so passionate about advocating plant-based, I say, look at it this way. It can be for you an option, because you got to take the baby steps.
Yes, right.
I don't expect
Yeah.
everybody to be me and do
Right.
it the way I'm doing it.
We're aggressive.
But
We're like, okay, we
my
wanna get
point
it done.
is to help the person out. So I'm telling them, okay, try this. Do a meatless Monday or something.
Nice.
You know,
Yeah.
baby steps.
Yeah.
Maybe one meal out of a day, don't make it meat.
Yeah.
You eat meat all the other times, but this one meal, do
Give
vegetables.
your body a rest.
Also, with the great thing, like you said, with the soul food part, and I'm glad you said flavor, because that's what it's really all about.
That's
It's
what it
about
is,
flavor.
yeah.
And so what we have vegan or vegetarian soul.
Yeah.
You know, we got it's a place on Gray Street, I think,
Mhm.
New Vegan that just opened up,
Yeah.
and it's place stay packed.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Now, tell me about your experience. I want to get into
Yeah.
your experience because you say you're a cook,
Yeah.
and share this with the viewers.
Yeah,
And by the way, you
definitely.
can call in if you got any questions
you can call
for
and
Pauline
please do.
Stevens about the subject that we're talking about. We're talking about health and wellness as
Yes.
always. And the subject right now, we're talking about nutrition, and we're definitely talking about vegan, vegetarianism. So you're more than welcome to call in if you got any comments or suggestions. So your experience as far as the cooking part.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Again, that's something I stumbled upon, which I'm so happy I did. My daughter is 7. She just turned 7 years old about a week ago. And so I'm really proud of her. So she's vegan as well. And I had to come up with ways to create a meal for her. Because I first started off as a raw vegan, so I can sit and I can eat
Wow.
something raw.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
And I'm 8% raw and 20% I'll cook. But I would, have my meals, and it was good for some time. But then as she grew a little older and having to go to pre-K and, first grade,
That's good.
it's like children that would have warm foods, and of course the mac and cheese and things like that. And then I said, I have to learn how to make these meals for her, because I didn't want her, again, to feel odd or left out,
Okay.
or peer pressured into having anything that wasn't vegan.
Right.
So I went to culinary school, and I took a few classes,
Oh, okay.
and over a course of a few years, and I got it. And
Oh,
I
wow.
started to experiment again with
That's great.
flavors,
That's
and
great. That's great.
sticking with my heritage too, being a Jamaican, and
That's great.
even of course some soul food, which is the mac and cheese and all
Right.
that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So so that's what I do, and I provide meals throughout the week for anyone that asks. So I don't have where it's like, oh, this week we're having this type of special, but it may come to that if I have a few folks that really want it. But it's kind of like whenever I get a request for that.
Okay, so how does that work? How do
Yeah.
people get in contact with
Yeah.
you as far as that concerned?
So you can get in contact through any of my social media accounts, and they're all under my name, Pauline Stevens, and
Okay.
Stevens is with a PH, and or my website. So you can email me at hello@paulinestevens.com, and again, Stevens with a PH. So hello, HELLO at Pauline, PAULINE, Stevens, STEPHENS.com. And from there, just let me know what you'd like to have. And
great.
also on my
That's awesome.
blog, you'll be able to see some of the foods that I have created as well.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. And that's the information that we really, really need. Like I said, because there's such a big demand for that. Like I said, even if people aren't full time or whatever you want to call it, vegan, but there's also people that are vegan and
Yeah.
vegetarian. And what you just said is good information, because let's say hypothetically somebody's saying they're having an event.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're having an event, and they say, well, okay, we want to make this event healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're having an event about cancer or something
That's
like
right.
that, I got to be honest, I got to put that out there.
Please.
Because I've been to events where people are cancer awareness or some type of awareness for some type of health, and I'm sitting there and the stuff that they serve
Is cancer causing.
Thank you. And I'm saying to myself, and you know, I have some people that done it. I love you, but I'm shaking my head. I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to have this event, and if it's about that, you may want to reach out to somebody,
Right.
or you know, like you,
Yeah, which they
reach
can.
out to you, and again, making it flavorful. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
because I'm telling you, and I'm thinking about the place New Vegan, and even the stuff. She had some nice stuff at the fest. It was real nice.
Thank you.
That was what it was
Yeah,
called,
I had
jackfruit.
jackfruit slider, or jackfruit head tortilla at this time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and those things that you can make, and
Right.
you know, I had it, I jerked it up, so it was Jamaican jerk.
Jamaican
but
jerk,
you can
right.
also barbecue it. You
Right.
can curry it, or so make it
Right.
Indian style.
That's right.
And so it's again all the flavors that you'd want. And but you just keep it healthy, and just be careful. Even when someone says something is vegan, I would say,
Oh, that's
okay,
true,
well,
too. I'm
it could
glad you
be
brought that up.
unhealthy vegan food. You know,
That's
I
a
always
good
look at
point.
labels, like
Do-
what's
do-
in there.
Thank you. And yeah, that's another thing too. You're going to find that, and I found this out too. You know, you really have to do the research, what you just said, because there's some issues with soy, there's some
Yes.
issues with
Yeah, yeah,
tofu, and I'm, you know, not to frustrate you or anything, but with
Right,
anything,
it's true.
even with this, do your research.
Yeah.
Definitely do your research, and as much as possible, don't panic or anything like that because you hear something. Because some people get a little.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Anxiety.
And they
It's
get
something.
anxiety, and if somebody is in the baby process
That's
of
right.
it, you're really scaring them away. And
Yeah,
they say,
yeah,
"Oh, I know
yeah.
I don't want to be a vegetarian now because I heard that soy,
Right.
I heard that tofu."
Yeah.
And it's not about all of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you just.
You don't have to have the anxiety
Right,
around it.
right.
I would have the anxiety around to eating chicken
More so
that
than
has
anything,
cancer
Right,
cells,
causing-
and
right.
then you're eating that
Right,
cancer.
right,
So
right.
I would have more anxiety over that.
Right.
But again, you know, you come, you reach out, you know, contact me, email me, reach out through my social media.
Okay.
If you have questions, I'll be able to answer that, especially with soy. So, you know, I don't advocate soy, eating soy, and I have my own personal reasons behind that. I think when I first started out, I tried this tofu scramble thingy, and I was just like, instantly I felt the effects of it, and I said, my body is telling me that it does not want this, and so therefore I learned.
I
And
could never get with
yeah.
tofu anyway.
So
period.
all my meals and the meal prep and the
Okay.
programs that I provide
That's
is
great,
soy
that's
free,
great.
and you'll even down to the cheeses.
That's
so
great,
you'll
that's
find
great.
ways. You'll find your way.
Yes.
Don't have anxiety, but reach out. Don't feel like you can do this on your
Right,
own.
right.
Oh, there's resources out there ready, and then there's individuals like Stuart and I that can give that to you. So just
And
contact
join the
us.
Black Vegans, Richmond Black Vegan Social.
Social.
And that's something that I
yeah.
encourage people, what you just said, because
Yeah.
we would have never came across each other if I wasn't a part of that. And I was looking for somebody
Yeah.
like you. But if I wasn't a part of that network, and I encourage people, that's another thing you want to do too. If you're interested in anything, in this day and age, Facebook, there's some good things
Yeah.
about Facebook where you get with a community of people. And there are people on Facebook that may not be as in depth with being a vegetarian as we are in the social, but they're
Right.
getting information. And that's the
Right,
great
exactly.
thing about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would always tell people to be open and mindful to it all. I said, you know, we are, and anyone is newbies to all this. It may be foreign to you, but be open and not be so closed-minded and says, well, I'm not going to do that because now I have to meal prep. That's going to take out time from my day of watching TV. And now I have to do that. Just be open-minded, but then be diligent about it too. It's like, this is your life. This is your life that you are responsible for. No one is responsible for it.
Okay.
And so if you are eating the way that you're eating, and you know that now you are a victim of diabetes,
Right.
Now you are a victim of possible, what is the other one? Hypertension.
So many.
You know, which is very rampant in most communities. And so I think you are responsible. So don't look for the pill to fix it. Don't look for the doctors to fix it.
Okay.
All those things are masking the symptoms, but it's not taking it away.
That's true.
So over time, you're then going to succumb to the side effects of the medication.
Ultimately.
So you're responsible for yourself, and do your research now. Like it's gonna save your life. Like your life depends on it. What your life does depends on. And they say knowledge is power, and it's so very true. So you do that.
And we're winding down. I can have you on for the whole hour because you was just getting into something about the medicinal part.
Yes.
And they said food should be your medicine, and definitely when you get into the plant based, it's just. I'm thinking about something that I saw a few years ago, and then we're going to wind down, but I was just thinking about what was it called? I think it was Food Inc. or Fork Over the Knives.
There's a bunch of documentaries.
There's a bunch of documentaries. My first one was that Fork Over Knives, and the doctors were getting into all of that.
Yeah,
but I mean, that was awesome. What you just said about the medicinal part. Like I said, we could spend a whole lot of time.
That's true,
So very near future, I might have to have you back on.
Yeah, I'll be welcome to do that. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in. Real quick, how people can get into contact.
Yes, my website, www.paulinestevens.com. I'll spell it out for you. Pauline is PaulineStevens.com, and from there you'll find all my social links, which is Instagram, same name, Pauline Stevens, Facebook, Pauline Stevens.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline.
You're
Definitely
welcome.
appreciate you for coming on today's program of
My
Hip Living.
pleasure.
Definitely, as she was saying before, do your research, be open-minded, because that's what it's all about. And we're going to get ready to go into the next break with my next guest. And again, I just had on, if you just tuned in, I just had Pauline Stevens. She is a specialist when it comes to health and wellness, veganism, vegetarianism. She's a cook. She wears a whole lot of hats. So with that being said, we get ready to go into the break. I'm going to have my next guest on. You're watching Hip Living.
And I know times like this, you just take it slow. Fall asleep in the pillows. She got my heart in a chokehold. And there she goes. Heart that pounds like a stereo. You take me round and round like the merry-go. But one more ride, baby, here we go. Times like this, you just take it slow. Fall asleep in the pillows. She got my heart in a chokehold. And there she goes. heart that pounds like a stereo. You take me round and round like the merry-go. But one more ride, baby, here we go.
And we are back here on Hip Living. Had a great first 30 minutes of Hip Living with Pauline Stevens. And again, definitely check her out on Facebook. My next guest, well, you just saw. What you just saw was some awesome work from my next guest. I've been knowing this brother for a minute. And most of what I've been knowing him as is a realtor. And you probably seeing his face right now. You've probably seen him. He's done some great sort of like commercials and promotions for his work as a realtor. And if you want to get a home, first time home buyer, affordable, maybe you want to downsize, he's the man. We're going to plug that a little bit too.
Thank you.
But today we're going to talk about Max Williams Photography and the awesome work that he is doing. I mean, you just saw it a second ago. This is not just your typical type of photography. Very artistic. A lot of detail, puts a whole lot of work into it. So I'm going to be a client of yours. Max, welcome to today's program.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and supposed to have had him on last week, but you know how things work sometimes. On my fault, not bad on that one. But he's here this week to talk about his photography, Max Williams Photography. Now, Max, that intro and what we just saw, how would you describe the type of photography you do?
I do a lot of work in glamour,
Okay.
fashion, boudoir.
Okay.
Probably 80+% of the work I do is with women,
Okay.
and occasionally event.
Okay.
Sometimes I do an event, and a wedding here or there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's pretty diverse. I don't do a lot of landscape or nature photography.
Okay.
Mostly everything I shoot has people in it.
Oh, wow. Okay. 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 So like you said, it's the glamour,
Glamour,
What is that?
fashion, boudoir.
boudoir.
Yes.
Okay. So let's just back up a little bit. How did you find your way? It seems obvious because I think I saw some of your work before it got to this, where like you were taking pictures of different, it was almost like you were just taking pictures of different things. How did it get into where you are right now? How did that happen?
It evolves. Basically, you go toward the direction that at whatever point in time
Right.
you seem to embrace.
Okay.
And
Okay.
over time, it's just been more and more working with models.
Oh, okay.
I do some work with models and women that feel like they want to be a model.
Okay, I got you.
They don't necessarily have to do it on a
Okay.
regular basis, but they
Right.
they want to celebrate
I
their
got you, I got you.
femininity. They want to celebrate.
Okay.
Sometimes it's an accomplishment.
I got you.
I have
Wow.
women that will sometimes want to do a photo shoot because they've lost weight,
Okay.
or they've toned up,
Okay.
or there's an event that happens in their life.
Right. Right.
Maternity is really
Now
big now.
that, and that's what you just said, and that was mind blowing because usually when we see that, it's beyond which is the celebrity type of stuff.
Right.
You know, we'll see a celebrity that's pregnant, maternity and everything, and we'll see that. But now, and I've been noticing about a lot of your work. Yes, what you just said, I was going to ask you about that because I've seen quite a bit of that. So what you're getting, like you're saying, you're getting quite a bit of demand for that.
Absolutely. Historically, a lot of women feel, oh, I'm huge, I'm bloated, I don't feel feminine, I don't feel sexy, and just miserable.
Okay.
And more recently, women have embraced that.
Okay.
You've heard the saying, when you're pregnant, you glow.
Okay.
And it's one of my favorite genres, actually.
Okay.
And maternity photography doesn't have to be a woman standing next to a tree, holding the belly, looking down at the belly. It can be as far-fetched, as
I got you.
exotic, as
Okay.
sensual,
Right.
or as conservative
Right.
as someone wants.
And sometimes you have the men. I noticed
Absolutely,
you had
absolutely.
husband and
Sometimes
wife, right?
Sometimes the father is present. Sometimes she says stay at home.
Okay.
It just depends.
Okay.
And we do both. And
Okay.
sometimes we'll do a little mixture. We'll have some photographs with the couple.
Okay.
And then we'll kick him to the curb for a little bit.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
So
okay.
it does vary.
So typically, when this first got started, typically, what was your customer? I seems like it was mostly women typically when it first got started. But typically, kind of going back and breaking it down, what was the main type of pictures that you took? I mean, early on, like very early on, when it came to the people, clients approaching you, usually.
I started back in high school. I was the high school photographer.
Okay, so we're really going.
We're going way back.
So
we're going
now,
to film days.
okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Right.
Okay.
Those were events. Obviously,
Right.
if the school had an event, or if there was a group that needed photographs,
Okay.
and so it just kind of evolved over time. But I've always been partial to portraiture of women.
Okay. Now, like you said, you describe your photography. Like you said, typically it's the glamour, it's the models, or someone like you said that wants to really look like a model. Now, what I want to get into also is this: how you set them scenes up. Because what you notice about your photography, it's not like you got something that people drop down like what we got here.
Right.
Okay, you got a picture, and they can make it look nice,
Right.
and it's all right. But you're literally at the river,
Yes. Oh, yes.
in the forest,
Yes.
or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, and you're making it happen. I mean, that takes some skill to do that.
And my hat goes off to the women that I shoot. And I'll give you an example. There was a picture in the reel.
Okay.
The young lady was in a white lace dress.
Okay.
And she was laying back on her back. I was shooting down onto her.
Okay.
That was in October in the James River.
Wow.
And it was a little stream. It was an offshoot of the James River. It was a little stream, and it was only about a foot deep.
Okay.
And so she laid in it,
Wow.
and I was over top and took the shots. She was freezing. I didn't know how cold it was because my feet were in the water, but her whole body was in the water. And but we look back at that, and that was one of my favorite
awesome.
shots ever. And
Wow.
she was bold enough and courageous enough to do it.
Okay.
And so in many situations, it's not a comfortable situation. It could be cold. It could be mosquitoes could be out. There could be any number of issues in the environment. But those women are confident and powerful enough to endure it. We get to shoot, and then we see the results.
See, yeah, you're revealing something like what you just said. Because for those of us on the outside looking in, when we see these glamorous photographers, like the celebrity type of thing, which technically that's what you're presenting someone that has that status of the type of photography that a celebrity would take.
Sure.
And like you said, going through that process, set it ain't just like, okay, I'm getting lucky and I'm taking a good picture and we're taking it near the river.
Right.
You're literally setting up a narrative,
Right.
in the water.
Yes.
Or in the forest or wherever, the pool table or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
And one of the things too about the location is a lot of it has to do with the lighting. The lighting is crucial.
Okay.
That pool table photograph.
Okay.
That was in fact, that was just a few hundred yards from here.
Wow.
It was an apartment complex,
Okay.
and it used to be an ice cream factory.
Wow.
And it was a very plain looking wall, and it was just a pool table in the middle of the room.
Okay.
So by lighting the background with a colored gel, you just completely change the look.
Right. That's
And exactly, and it can be done in any alleyway. In fact, tonight I'm going to an alley,
Okay.
and we're going to be shooting there, and hopefully it will look a little bit more appealing than it does during the daytime.
What's an alley? Like what? Shooting in an alley? What in the world?
Yes, I'm not going to disclose which alley.
Great day. Man, that's what I call dedication.
It will be with another photographer. I'm not going to do that alone.
Okay.
But some of the grungiest, nastiest, ugliest locations are actually some of the best to shoot in.
Wow.
Yeah, abandoned buildings, abandoned warehouses.
Wow.
The texture, the lines, the composition that you can do in some place like that.
Oh, okay.
It's just amazing sometimes.
And see, like I said, the average person, that tells you something about your skill as a photographer. The average person wouldn't be thinking about that. We wouldn't. We see a scene, we think of something that's got to be awesome and
Pretty,
beautiful.
right.
It's got to like hit us in the face.
Right.
But in your case, you're paying attention to some details. You see something else,
Right.
and you're setting it up. Another point, and we were talking about this before. Now, you also work with some people. You say to help. Now, how does that work?
Okay. We have a meetup groups here locally, and then photographers, of course, will have friends that they shoot with.
Okay.
Just last week, a group, I didn't know this photographer, but he set up a collaboration between himself, 4 other photographers,
Okay.
a makeup artist, a florist, a hairstylist,
Wow.
and a lady that was starting a wedding planning business.
Oh, okay.
And all of these creatives come together, and we did it on a
Like
farm.
that. Oh man.
And so we shot this young couple that was engaged. We
That's
did
right.
kind of like an engagement.
Yeah.
Actually, it was like a wedding shoot.
Okay.
And it was amazing because you had all these people that came together for a common good.
Okay.
We will tag them on the pictures
Okay.
so they get some promotional benefit. It doesn't cost them anything.
Wow.
The
Okay.
photographers, of course, get to shoot in a venue they otherwise might not shoot in.
Okay.
And I had a shot that I was very proud of, and the couple was kissing, and a cow came up right
Now
behind them.
Now that's what I'm saying.
Right.
You know, for that to happen, I'm like, how you make like a cow just pop up like that, and the timing of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes things happen, and you just
Okay.
take advantage of it. If you're ready, you can
Okay.
take advantage of the moment.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
obviously, I don't shoot a lot of weddings, but even when I do, typically not going to be in the middle of a farmer's field.
Right.
So
right.
putting all of those pieces together, it worked for everyone.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. All right, this is what I'm gonna go ahead and ask you. Okay, this is like a 2-part question. Okay, you don't have to reveal on the other end of the question.
Okay.
Right? What has been some of your most memorable, favorable experience, and your unfavorable, without giving too many details? You the names. You know,
Wow. Ooh.
the one that you just like. Oh,
Goodness, you ever seen a black man blush?
oh okay.
Wow. All right. Well, there are. That's a great question.
Got it.
That's a great question. Sometimes I don't have a filter, but I'm gonna have to put one on here on this one. Sometimes the situations and when we're shooting, it's completely professional.
I got you.
Sometimes the models have on outfits that you wouldn't necessarily walk down Broad Street in.
Okay.
And so it's can be interesting in that respect.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
I have a buddy. I'm going to put this on a buddy who will remain nameless. He was shooting, and it was out in a park somewhere, and the young lady that he was shooting was also interested in photography.
Okay.
And so she was shooting a friend, and the friend probably should have had a little bit more on than she did, and someone saw it, and next thing they know, Chesterfield showed up, started asking questions.
Oh, yeah.
I was not there, that was not me, but that's an example of what could potentially happen
I got you.
if someone's not quite careful.
Okay. That's a good point, like you said, because you're shooting these pictures.
Right.
And they think it's something else, but you're a professional.
Right.
But in today's world, ironically,
Exactly.
stuff goes on, and like you said, if they see something, they think in one way, and you're like, no, this really is legit professional photography.
Yeah.
So what was one of your most memorable, in a favorable way, like awesome, like you just, not just one, but a few of them that you like.
Yeah,
you just really feel great about.
This happens from time to time, and this is when I know that I truly have done a great job. If I have a lady that's a client,
Okay.
and we do our shoot, and I present the pictures to her, and then she says, "Max, when I saw my pictures, I started crying."
Wow.
Then I know
You did
that I
something.
did my job.
Okay.
If I can evoke that kind of emotion.
Okay.
And one other thing about that is that we're in a digital world. There's no secret. Everyone's taking selfies. It's on the phone, and then the phone gets lost, and the pictures are gone. Okay. We really encourage, the photographer community really encourages people to get prints made.
Oh.
Because prints will go in a book, they'll go someplace special.
Okay.
And 30 years from now, no one's going to have that selfie. But 30 years from now, a nice print, 11 by 14, or an album,
That's a good
people are going to hold on to that.
That's a good point.
When you look at your grandparents or their parents, if they had a wedding album done, you've got something tangible
Well, that's true.
that you can hold on to.
Right.
There are people that took pictures back when digital first started.
Right.
That's on 5.5 inch or 5.25 inch floppy.
Oh.
And good luck trying to get something that can read that media.
Right. That's a good point.
Okay, whereas that print is always going to be there.
That's a good point.
That
That's a
album
good
is
point.
going to be there. And if it starts to fade or needs a little bit of assistance, there are
No,
people
listen,
that can go in and restore it
Right, I didn't think about that.
and do some Photoshop on it to bring it back to its
Bring
original
it back to life. And
grandeur.
everything.
Exactly.
Oh, wow, okay. So, going back a little bit, so how typically, how does a person, how does the process work as far as when you meet with the client and everything to set everything up? Take us through a typical situation where someone's saying, well, they're approaching you and they want you to take a glamour shot or maybe a wedding. How does that usually work?
Okay, first is you want to get an understanding of what they're trying to achieve. What are they going to do with the image?
Okay.
It could be a lady that wants to present something special to her significant other.
Okay.
Or it could be an engagement shoot. It could be maternity, just to find out what the occasion is.
Okay.
Once that is ascertained, then what's their style? And typically what I'll do is I'll show them images that I've done before, or I'll tell them, hey, go on Pinterest, see what you like. Give me 4 or 5 images that you really like.
Okay.
Then I can get an idea of the style. It doesn't mean we're going to copy that particular image. It means that's their style. If they like something that's real light and airy and feminine, then I know not to do something that's lit very harshly and kind of edgy and a completely different style.
I got you, okay.
So that's pretty much the process. Once we ascertain what their style is, then it is a matter of putting together the pieces as far as location. Is there going to be makeup artists? Coordinating with the makeup artists to make sure that they like the makeup. There are some makeup artists can be heavier or lighter, and of course we want to make sure it's something that the client would like.
Okay.
Then of course we have the shoot, go ahead, produce those images. After a photographer shoots, especially with a wedding, let's say the shoot is 6 hours, it in many cases will be another 6 hours just editing.
Wow.
Throwing out the ones that are no good, or the eyes are closed, or something's wrong with it.
Okay.
Changing exposure, color, so forth. So for every hour of shooting, it's typically another hour of editing.
Oh, okay.
And then once that's done, I typically present all of the images to the client, and then they pick their favorites.
Oh, okay.
Some photographers will pick their favorites and only present those, and I typically present more than just
I got
my
what you're saying.
favorites.
So they get an opportunity to look at it and
Right.
pick what they really what they want.
Exactly.
Because you can tell, like you say, the ones that are bad.
Right.
But other than that, like you said, you're giving them an option, giving them an opportunity to present what it is. That
Exactly.
they like. Talking to Max Williams of Max Williams Photography. If you're just tuning in to Hip Living, if you want to call and you've got any questions, you just saw some of his work on the screen. Phenomenal work. Great photographer. Some awesome work, and we just getting into the details of how all this works in the process and how you go through the whole process of putting all of this together. And there's a whole lot to that.
Yes.
The type of camera you use. Some people may have questions about a type
Sure.
of camera.
Sure.
Somebody, let me just back up here. Somebody who wants to get to where you are, how would you recommend they get started as far as camera and so on?
The way I would get started is I get involved with some people locally here who do it. We've got a lot of amazing photographers here locally, and there are groups where photographers will go out, 3 photographers, 4 photographers, and they'll shoot models, or they'll shoot people, or whatever the subject matter is. I went up a few weeks ago up to a castle, and one of the photographers arranged it, and it was $10 a piece, and we shot at the castle. We had some models, and it was really nice event. It's someplace that we normally wouldn't go. It's not open to the public. So get involved with other people that have the same interest. From there, you'll be able to network, talk to people. YouTube is a tremendous,
There you go.
a tremendous asset. I'm on YouTube like every day, other than what I put out there, looking at other photographers that I know and respect. And before you know it, you'll be up and running. The equipment doesn't have to be overly expensive, but the most important thing that people don't realize is the lighting. The way we light is more important than the camera.
Oh, see, okay.
Okay, you could have the most amazing camera, the top of the line camera, but if you don't have the proper lighting.
And see, that's the thing. Like I said, an amateur like me that don't have a clue, I'm thinking about the camera. And I see something that's like even outdoors or something.
Yes.
Like I'm like, it's got enough sun. Why they got all of this light and everything like that? But like my mindset is thinking, okay, light is light. If the sun's out and I'm taking a picture, that's it. But even if it's daytime and
Yes.
it's sunny, like
Yes.
you just said, you
Yes.
have to, that lighting has to be right
Right.
to get that shot to look the way it looks.
There are some photographers that do, they call themselves natural light photographers.
Okay.
And they won't use any secondary lighting.
Okay.
But pretty much all of the top professionals
Okay.
and people that have really mastered their craft,
Right.
you're going to see something, even if it's broad daylight.
Oh, wow.
You're going to see additional lighting equipment because that way they can control it.
Right.
I can shoot somebody out there today. It's
Okay.
it's bright here on Boulevard.
Right.
With my light, I
Okay.
can shoot them and I can make everything else behind them go dark.
Oh,
And I would not be able to do that without the lighting.
see, I didn't think
So I can
about that.
control the background
Oh, okay.
as well as control my exposure on the subject.
That's a
So it
good
gives you
tip.
just a lot of flexibility.
Oh, that's a good tip. Okay, that's a good tip. Okay, what's your favorite type of camera? A name or brand or whatever?
I'm a Sony shooter. I grew up with Canon all my life.
Okay.
About 2.5 years ago, I switched to Sony.
Oh, okay.
Sony has some amazing developments, and
Okay.
a lot of professionals are moving to
Oh, they're
Sony.
just those big Sony.
It's catching on. It's one of the fastest growing. It is the fastest growing brand.
Okay. So what's in store for the future? Where are you looking at going as far as your work right now, photography wise, that you're trying to get into?
I want to continue to do what I'm doing. I want to take the productions up to a higher level.
Okay.
Working with top-notch makeup artists, working with
Okay.
top-notch models,
Okay.
and really putting together more of a complete image
I got you. I
with a
got you.
team.
That's
More
awesome.
so as opposed to just one or two people.
I got
An
you.
actual production,
Okay.
and hopefully it'll look like a production.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So I'm here talking with Max Williams. We're winding down. Max Williams Photography, real quick. How can they contact you?
On Facebook, I'm under my name, Max Williams. On Instagram, at Max_Williams_photography.
Okay.
And 804-402-7788.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming on today's program, man.
Thank you for
Awesome.
having
And probably gonna have you back sometime too to talk about the real estate part.
Would love to. Would love to. Absolutely.
Definitely inspiration when it comes to the home ownership and everything. So, hey, thank you for tuning in to today's program of Hip Living, and see you on the other side next week. Take care. Have a beautiful and blessed weekend.
Let us grow, get you to move. It's alright, alright. Let us grow, sit in your shoes, so stand up. Alright, gonna tell you what you can do.
And hold me down.